On this next series of Hard Facts, we will be discussing American exceptionalism. This is special guest Sarah Cohen joining us from Columbia University, and she's a professor of history. To begin, Sarah, could you define what American exceptionalism is?
Yes. So American exceptionalism is this notion that our country, America, is inherently different from other countries. So not only are we just different and unique, but our differences are larger than those between other countries. We're more different and more unique. And so it's sort of like a superiority in its origin, and it's just this idea and like development of exception to the rest, and just simply we're better is kind of what the notion means. This term first was arrived in 1927. It was used in the communist debates, and it's kind of been around since then. A lot of times spoken about in American politics.
What ideas or beliefs started this or led up to it?
So a lot of historians have discussed it. There's a lot of research following it, but it's believed to have come from this idea of kind of doing away with feudalism. So when future Americans came to the colonies and we founded these colonies and we were leaving Britain, we wanted things to be different, and so we kind of started it as such. So we led away from our land was no longer owned by the king. We no longer owed these services to them. So it kind of just automatically started this idea of independence, and we can do it on our own mentality, and we own ourselves, and this is a good thing, but it led to other things. So then also another aspect of it was the whole Puritan belief coming to America, which was a predominant part of the colonists coming. So John Winthrop's whole city on a hill thing is saying that America is this golden divine example for the rest of the nations, and that we're sitting as a city on a hill for everyone else to see. So we kind of came with this entitled establishment of we're different and we're better, and that just throughout our history it started off with these kind of beliefs and ideas, and the first time it was really backed up by some real doing and action was with the Revolutionary War. So for the first time we actually proved ourselves exceptional, because we were the underdog, and there wasn't a lot of us. We didn't have great structure or great weapons, and we beat Britain, this great nation. So that was kind of our almost justification for American exceptionalism. And from there it's only kind of grown, so it was really established in the beginning of our nation.
Are there any, America claims to be this democracy. Could you explain how this democracy affects American exceptionalism and how it has impacted it?
So our country is the first mass democracy, and we were built upon these ideals of freedom, and although not always practiced or seen how they're said in paper, we were built on these great ideas of independence, and freedom, and just, being ourselves and being exceptional. And so this idea of a democracy, was really, along with the wars, was really easy to back up everything we were saying and everything we were believing, because we're yeah, we are exceptional, and we can prove it because we have a democracy, and we're the only nation we thought at the time to have a democracy. It's actually kind of ironic, though, because there was a democratic republic, a constitutional republic that had existed for 400 years before America was even founded, in an island in Asia. So we weren't the only democracy at the time, but we were the largest in practicing, and we truly were an example for other nations at that time. We built a democracy that was greatly based off of a mixture of things. We didn't come up with it on our own and conjure it, but it was based off of locks and all these great different ideas that had existed prior to it, and we combined it into something, created our democracy. And today a lot of nations shape after our democracy, but also today maybe our democracy needs to be fixed and changed, but it's sort of stuck in that old way because of the entitlement belief of exceptionalism, that we don't need to change it and everything.
Many historians discuss this topic of manifest destiny and how America believes that since it's the most superior nation, that it deserves the most land or opportunity to expand its borders. Can you discuss how manifest destiny, this belief, has impacted American exceptionalism?
Yes, definitely. So, manifest destiny, for those of you who don't know, is this belief that um, we have a like divine right to the land of America. And so, when our nation was just on the northeastern, like borders of what is present day America, we, although the land was inhabited by other people and had been there for a long time, um, they had long out like governments and villages, and I mean their lifestyles were there. We felt that the land was ours. We truly believed that it was ours, and that it wasn't wrong to take it from them. And we weren't even taking it from them. We were just taking what was ours. So it that completely, this idea of like this manifest destiny that we're going to expand our borders and move into it, and we have this divine right to it, of course follows American exceptionalism, because we truly think that we are just unique and different and better, and that any land that we say is ours to have. So yeah, that definitely just coincides with this idea of entitlement.
So this is pretty national. This is pretty specific to America. How does this affect the world or other countries around us?
So like these ideas of our country being such an example for the world is a very easy, I would say, like notion for America to manipulate, and we have done that multiple times in the past. And so this kind of concept of imperialism, of us like, oh, we're the nation that will restore the rest, and we're going to go spread our ideas and help people become democracies. It was really easy to use that as our framework of what we're going to say, but really what we were doing is we were exploiting these lands and taking their resources, improving our markets, expanding our markets, and it was all venture capitalism. Everything we were doing was based off of capitalism and expanding out, but it was very easy to like say, but we're doing good and we're doing these things. And in a lot of cases, we did really help bring democracies to other countries and help countries. There's a lot of examples, but there's also examples like Cuba and Korea. And there's examples in a lot of ways where we put someone in power that like ended up not being helpful, and it's really just not our position to put leaders in power of other countries. That's kind of like a law of nations. It's not a thing that is done. It's not necessarily, there's no constitution over all of the nations. There's just boundaries, and America kind of finds itself like immune to, I would say, the boundaries and to international law because of our ideals. Again, everything is backed up by our ideals and our fundamentals. And then this also kind of, so like this notion leads a lot of times to nationalism, which is just such a huge thing in America. We're a country where kids are raised to every single day in the classroom we're saluting our flag, every single day we're reciting our national anthem. Like there's just values, core values that are just installed in us from the youngest age of America. And although that's a great thing in a lot of ways, it's really important to know and understand and respect your country. There's ways where it's abused and taken out of hand, and that's a huge problem with American nationalism, is that it's so extreme. It's actually considered in a lot of ways jingoism, which is just extreme patriotism, and it's just this almost aggressive assertion of foreign policy, and just you can see it with our like excessive use of the flag. No other nation wears their flag on them for shirts and cars and all these things where it's always on us. A lot of nations, you see them wear their flag for their World Cup or something, their Olympics, something that is really proud of their country. But it's this kind of like assertion of superiority in America where we're so over the top about our nation, and it's very excessive. And we also are, the nationalism can be violent in a lot of ways. There's been so many cases of, different parties, different beliefs where people genuinely feel that if you're not patriotic, that you're wrong. So there's not a lot of room for discussion.
So we've been discussing how America is the greatest country and how people believe that no matter what. What are other examples of countries that have better aspects of their government than us?
Actually, a lot of examples. That's a really great point. So, there's so many statistics on it. There's like an official rating of different traits of countries, and it's an international rating. And actually, on the ratings, Sweden is number 1 for country overall satisfaction and just people who feel that they're like happy there. Canada's number 2 and America's number 14. So we have all this money, we have all these material goods here, but there's not a lot of movement, and that's a really big problem. There's such a huge gap between the classes here. The upper class is 1% of our nation, and they own 54% of the money. And our lowest class makes up for like 30% of our nation. This is like there's a huge gap between the different classes. A huge problem with America is it's very, very, very hard to move up in the classes to gain socioeconomic standing. We're actually ranked the 6th country in the world for social mobility, so to move up in ranks, which is really unfortunate because so many people come here for opportunity. We're seen as this like universal like mecca of place to restore and come here, but it's not easy to move up, and it's not common either. Just some other statistics. For a Human Development Index, we're number 5 in the whole world. For education, we're number 14. America loves to talk about how great our education is, but our public education is number 14th in the world. And we're in quality of life, like I was saying before. Yeah, we're ranked number 16. And then in freedom, America's huge thing is we say how we're such a free country and freedom is our number 1 priority. We're ranked 72nd in freedom for the whole world because, as you'll see in other videos, the freedom is written on paper, but it's projected differently to different classes, to different races, and that's a huge problem that America has today. So basically, just to like wrap this up, our country has great things about it, but this notion that we're exceptional and that we're different and better than the rest ruins in so many ways competition to get better and to improve our flaws. Like will be discussed in later videos, there's a lot of flaws in this nation, and this notion that we're the best ruins competition. It ruins the want to get better, and in a lot of ways it's really digressive for our nation.
Thank you for joining us today, Sarah. On our next episodes of Haard Facts, we will be discussing racial relations, education, and healthcare. Join us next time.
Thank you for having me.